Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Namaste, everyone. For today's topic, we're going to be talking about our Ayurvedic perspective on the new drugs that are all the rage, Ozempic and so on, in general known as GLP1 drugs. I took this topic up because one of the beloved alumni suggested that she would like to see me talk on this topic. So here we go. I hope she's going to enjoy this podcast. So first of all, let's be clear. This is my musings and it is not medical advice. And we're really looking at the Ozempic, Wegovy, etc. in the context of weight loss medication, not in the context of diabetes. So if you are diabetic, please take the medicines that your diabetologist or your endocrinologist, whoever's managing your case, is telling you to take, because diabetes is an extremely dangerous disease that has every potential to reduce both the length and the quality of your life. So make sure you take whatever is prescribed for you and then come to clinic as well, because we can usually top things off to help you get better glycemic control and help you have an overall better quality of life. Some of my patients have even found their needed insulin dose is naturally getting reduced once they're taking what we're giving them. But yeah, don't take this as advice not to take your medicine from your doctor. We're talking about Ozempic et al. In a weight loss context. So let's start with a few basics. First of all, from an Ayurvedic standpoint, there is an illness known as Medorog, or fat disease, where the belly and the buttocks hang down, the breast, belly, and buttocks hang down and jiggle. That's the measurements that they used back in the day. This is a problem that can have a lot of health impacts described in the Ayurvedic texts. In the Ayurvedic texts, they also talk about the raging appetite that many people who suffer from Medorog, or the disease of excess fat tissue, suffer from. This is described as occurring because the fat tissue itself is clogging the channels, trapping the agni, the digestive fire, in the belly, causing insatiable hunger. And so there is a dysregulation. The relationship between our appetite and our caloric needs, our actual caloric needs, can be very dysregulated when we do suffer from Medorog, point one. That's quite different from what we see with some of the other endocrine imbalances that many of us do suffer from that result in weight gain. Menopause type endocrine imbalances, thyroid imbalances. In these cases, many of us are experiencing at one and the same time reduced appetite and sluggishness, along with weight gain that just cannot be explained by the ratio of calories in, calories out, because there's other kinds of endocrine imbalances that are happening. So those kind of diseases come under a different category. That's a situation called mundagni, or low fire, that is impairing both our appetite and our overall metabolic rate, essentially because of a buildup of kapha that is just causing the slowness and the sluggishness. So, from an Ayurvedic standpoint, we don't want to be approaching our weight just from the standpoint of keeping up with the neighbors or looking good on TikTok or Instagram. We don't want to have a quote unquote yoga body and feel we can't go to the yoga studio if we are more round or more curvy, because that's not what yoga is about. How good you look in your yoga outfit is not at all what it's about. In fact, yoga is about your spiritual growth and tying that to your health and longevity through awareness of your body and your breath. It's not about how you look or looking a certain way. So, obviously, from an Ayurvedic standpoint, we wouldn't be very much in favor of taking a medicine from an elective standpoint to get the body that we want. Next thing we want to think about is that in Ayurveda, we always use the three-pronged approach of diet, lifestyle, and herbs. Diet, nutrition, not in the sense of getting on a diet. We want to have a sustainable way of eating. For those of us that are more kapha, that could be a two-meal plan, or two meals, a good brunch, an early dinner, and then fruit often as our midday snack, because that's a good time to fit in fruits as or else nuts, something very high in nutrition and less empty calories that we would have as that in between meals snack. For those of us that are more pitta, we want to be able to curb that tendency to that raging digestive fire by eating whenever we are hungry. So snacks are actually appropriate for pitta people who have a sharp digestive fire. Don't let that fire get too hot. When it gets too hot, you're all buzzing, and no matter how much you eat, that fire won't calm down. For those of us who are vata, we often want to do a two nice healthy snacks, because sometimes vata can't digest three square meals in a day because their digestion tends to be a bit finicky. And even vata can start to get concerns about belly fat and visceral fat that could be bad for our health. Well, Ozempic and the rest, so much hype. It can be a bit intimidating when we're a CAM practitioner and we're hearing about this incredible medicine that is supposed to cure all these problems, diabetes, weight gain, it'll prevent dementia, it'll prevent heart attacks, it'll do this, that, and the other, and it's so fantastic. If only you could afford it, it will be so amazing for you. And we're like, yikes, have we got anything along these lines to offer? Can we do anything as good as this? Well, once you actually start talking to the endocrinologist and so on, who work In obesity medicine, they will tell you more bluntly that the medications like Ozempic do not work for everyone. They do not work for everyone. Some people can't take them because the side effects are too bad. Some people take them and do not lose any weight or even gain weight. Wow. Maybe it's not the miracle that it's cracked up to be. The second thing is for this to work, you've got to keep on doing it for the rest of your life. So, like I was saying, but I kind of interrupted myself because I'm doing this totally spontaneously. In Ayurveda, we work with diet, lifestyle, and herbs. For diet, we want to eat in a healthy way, eating plenty of vegetables, eating the right meal plan for us. For lifestyle, we do want to get out, get those bursts of exercise, especially outdoor exercise, do those jumping jacks in between whiles, park the car a little further away, never take the elevator, always take the stairs unless you have a disability that prevents you taking the stairs. Just always bring these little bursts of exercise throughout the day. Uh, Exercise is not just about going to the gym, and those gym routines may not be sustainable. It's about fresh air, keeping the body moving, introducing bursts of exercise throughout the whole day, running up and down the stairs, going over to the next desk instead of sending an email, whatever. We keep moving. Also, keep interested. Sometimes we eat because we're bored or we snack watching TV. Keep interested, keep engaged, keep doing active things. You're more likely to snack watching TV than you are to snack watching a good book or playing music or doing some other activity that is really interesting and engaging. So keep moving, keep alert, stay engaged, stay interested. And then it comes to the thought of, do you need to take this medicine? If you can afford it, and remember your finances are also part of your health. So your healthcare is not supposed to drain your finances. That's another part of it. Well, when I started thinking about this topic of the GLP1s, then I thought about what I did for hepatitis C. So there was this whole time period where the cohort of people, oftentimes boomers, who had contracted hepatitis C from activities such as sharing needles, but also from working in the medical profession and getting as a needle stuck by a needle, a contaminated needle, also from blood transfusions. There are various ways that people contracted hepatitis C. The first treatment was interferon, and it was so horrible. Patients have told me it was a year in hell. It was like having flu all the time. It was really awful, and it didn't necessarily cure people. So then there was this period of several years where we were waiting for direct acting antivirals. And in the meantime, people still had hepatitis C, people are still getting sick, people are still going to go into liver failure, etc. And I thought, let me do something about this. So I put on my thinking cap, and Google was my friend with my thinking cap, of course. And I started researching direct acting antiviral herbs that resulted in the creation of our Bye Bye Vi tinctures, winter and summer version. Really, my summer version is not only to be a little cooler for summer weather, but also to have something that's never going to be heating, that I made sure I put the most important herbs for herpes into the Bye Bye Vi summer tincture so it can help with that scourge that is just really affecting so many of my patients' lives in a negative way. Now they have something to take. So we had the Bye Bye Vi tinctures, and we're giving it to our hepatitis C patients, helping them to make it. And then the direct acting antivirals came out, and again, they're incredibly expensive, but there were means of getting financing to take it. Meanwhile, along comes COVID, and we're like, oh my God, we are so glad that we made the antivirals because it really helped with COVID, really helped with shingles, really helps with everything viral. So we got that under our belt. So along comes the same kind of challenge when it gets to Ozempic. The first question I have to ask myself is, how is Ozempic working anyway? Uh, it's all about incretin. What are incretins? They're what our body is supposed to release after a meal. Um, when we release those incretins, they trigger the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans in the pancreas to secrete insulin. And that insulin is going to take that sugar out of the blood and pack it away for later use. So there are two main incretins. The intestine produces them, if it does. If you have medorrhea, the disease of fat tissue, your body may not be making that or not making enough of that for you. So the two main incretins that your intestines are supposed to produce are glucagon-like peptide 1, that is GLP1, and glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. I guess that's GDIP, but anyway, we mostly hear about the GLP1s. What they're going to do is reduce the amount of sugar in your blood, which is helpful not only for diabetics, but also for protecting our heart and our brain, less less red blood cells traveling around carrying too much sugar on them. It also slows down the absorption of the nutrients, so we don't get as hungry again as quickly. So along come GLP-1 drugs, and they're going to make up the shortfall in what our body produces. So then, of course, me being me, the, the scientist me and the Ayurvedic me, I want to know, surely herbs do that. And guess what? I found, yes, we've been using a lot of herbs all along without knowing exactly this information that work. First of all, our soluble fiber herbs are good old isbagol. Ishadgol is the Sanskrit word. Ishadgol, often sold as isbagol or isabgol. So you get that box that you get in the Indian grocery store with the old-fashioned telephone that is called Sat Isabgol. That actually is a very good product. We like that product. We also do carry uh, Ishadgol in our pharmacy, if that's the best way for folks to get it. It's a psyllium husk, basically, and that soluble fiber is doing all these same amazing things, uh, getting us to feel less hungry, slow down the absorption of the food, and produce more insulin when we need to. So there we go. Next, don't we love our bitters in Ayurveda? Dr. Lad I always heard him say, bitter is better for your liver. Bitter is better for your pancreas too. Bitter is better overall for your health. And in these bitter herbs, oftentimes we'll find the iridoid glycosides, and they are helping with the incretin receptors. So there are receptors that get these incretins and then tell us, oh, hey, we need to absorb our food more slowly so we don't get hungry too soon. And we need to take that sugar out of the blood and pack it away. So let's get the insulin going. Let's get the whole process going. And then the iridoid derivatives come along and say, yep, we're going to help you do that. So we need some bitters that have those iridoids to help us with that. Some of our very bitter herbs are going to do that. So as I went on looking, what else did I find? A top famous, beloved Ayurvedic herb is Daruharidra, tree turmeric. It's not a turmeric at all. The reason it's called a tree turmeric or a tree haridra is that, like turmeric, it's a source of a very beautiful yellow dye that can be obtained from the bark and the roots of that tree. Mostly in this country, we don't see the actual Daruharidra, the actual tree turmeric. The one time I did see that is when we went to the Orto Botanico in Padua. Padua is the city in northern Italy that is the shrine of St. Anthony of Padua. You know, if you've been raised Catholic, that's the one you pray to if you lost anything, because he's the patron of children and the lost. He's always shown holding a baby or the Christ child. He's a big disciple of St. Francis. So I had such happy memories of going there when I was a young medical student, how magical it was. So I brought Sadananda there. Amazing darshan and amazing trips to the oldest botanical garden in Europe. And one of the beautiful things they do have there is the real Daruharidra Himalayan tree. What we see here, blooming now, blooming everywhere in Boulder County, we do see Oregon grape. It's a creeping shrub with beautiful yellow flowers, but whether it's Oregon grape, holly grape, berberis, Daruharidra proper, it doesn't really matter because they all contain this incredible compound, berberine. It does a lot of good things for us. We use it for our eye washes. We use it for a blood cleanser. We use it for the liver. We use it when we're helping people in the spring to get ready for allergy season and not get such bad allergies. But one of the wonderful things that Daruharidra and Barberry have in their portfolio is improving glucose regulation. So berberine may actually be acting as a GLP1 itself. Isn't that cool? Pretty exciting. Notice how I'm talking, unlike a drug that pretty much just does one or two things, a herb made from whole plant does have a portfolio of all the different wonderful things it can do for you because of all the different wonderful things it needs to be able to do to stay healthy itself. So improving your blood sugar regulation and your weight is one of the amazing things in the portfolio of Dara Haridra and Barberry. What else? What is the herb slash food that Satananda won't start a day without? Do you all know that? Bitter melon or bitter gourd. We literally buy 3.5 pounds of bitter gourds per week for just the two of us. Then we have the amazing Sarananda breakfast slash brunch because he pretty much does the 2 meal and 1 snack plan. So he has this amazing concoction of kitchery plus either buckwheat or quinoa mixed into the kitchery to make a less starchy effect than just the kitchery because the kitchery contains rice. And he mixes in dried bitter gourds and that's all mixed together. And then we have kefir, which you'll probably pronounce kefir with it. I just gave up pronouncing it kefir after I was scolded by someone from Afghanistan for my lousy pronunciation of their stuff. So it actually is kefir, but you could probably call it kefir. And you can make it using the culture you can buy from Cultures for Health, or you can buy it in the store, but it's really easy to make. Um, so that's the Sarananda breakfast. That that controls his blood sugar all day long because bitter melon increases GLP1. So if you're dealing with issues with weight or blood sugar regulation, develop a taste for bitter melon. Or if you're like me and you're still struggling to want to have bitter melon for breakfast, you just do it because you know it's good for you. Then another like typical Ayurvedic thing, our friend cinnamon. Where would we be without cinnamon? A key component in garam masala, a key spice in so many Indian meals. Yes, so this also could be acting through incretin, through some kind of GLP-1 or maybe glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, but it is actually really helping to balance your blood sugar. A word of caution here. Remember, in Ayurveda, we always think about the energetics of the herbs. Dara and the other Barbary herbs are hot. Bitter melon, even though it's bitter, is hot. Cinnamon is also heating. Makes sense, doesn't it? We're kind of like trying to stimulate some fire here. But if, like me, you're pitta, gotta think this through carefully. Um, Other herbs that are being looked into are fenugreek, which is another great friend of anyone trying to regulate their blood sugar, cholesterol, and so on. Many Indians just soak a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds and either drink just the soak water or drink the soak water and chew the soaked fenugreek seeds in the morning. And that's how they like to help control their blood sugar. Um, Gardenia is also being investigated. So how am I going to tackle this? Guess what? Erlandi, we love our tinctures. Tinctures are so easy to take and they're so much fun to make. So yeah, I've made a tincture, right? I decided to call the tincture Lighten Up, and I included several of the herbs we've been talking about. Of course, I've included some of the bitter herbs that are going to provide us with the iridoid glycosides. I included some other friends that make it less hot because I want to be able to take it because I have a hormone imbalance that has made me the only fat person in my whole family. Uh, what's wrong? None of us have ever been fat. Um, so I'm excited about it, but I put it together pretty carefully to balance the heating and the cooling and make something that is more of an Ayurvedic yoga because it's balanced. And me and a couple of selected patients of mine are going to be trying this tincture out once it's brewed. It takes a few weeks to brew, and then we'll see how it works. So, hopefully, next time someone comes in with concerns about Medorog, the disease of fat tissue, or imbalances in blood sugar regulation, we'll have yet another tool with which to help. So part of the message for me was don't get intimidated by the hype because anything drugs can do, herbs can do better. Why better? Maybe not as strong, but more balanced, having a bigger portfolio. So they're going to do more other incredible things for you. And we're going to not have as many people that can't take it because we're thinking about the individual needs and so on. So no silver bullets in Ayurveda because we have to tackle diet, i.e., good nutrition, the proper foods in the proper times, selected for your season, your constitution, and the current state of your doshas, a proper lifestyle, not too sedentary. I know that's hard for us. I'm being sedentary at this moment in time in order to make this recording, right? But try not to be too sedentary. Try to keep moving throughout the day. Doesn't have to be an hour's workout at the gym necessarily. For some of you, that works. For some of you, by the time I would get to the gym, I would have had enough exercise because I walk everywhere, which is, guess what? Exercise. So, diet, a lifestyle, stay alert, stay interested, don't do passive things that you have to munch your way through, and judiciously use herbs with the guidance of a highly qualified Ayurvedic doctor. All right. So, Alice, I hope that met with your satisfaction. Thanks for asking the question. And to everyone, bye for now. Namaste.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhano